Hey guys, it's Big Dave here for Tales of Telara, and it's Monday, so you know that means it's time for Warfronts. This week on Warfronts, it's my level 50 Pyromancer Dominator Mage, and we are in the library of the Runemasters. I did not leave this place the whole freaking weekend. It was the weekend Warfront, and it just kept on popping. I think I got one Whitefall, and after that, everything was a library, and every single game was an absolute one-sided stomp fest. And it didn't matter who. It was us one match, it was them the next match, then it was us for two matches, then it was them again. It really didn't seem to matter. We would have three guys mercenaried over from their side, and we would lose. They would have four guys mercenaried over to their side from us, and they would win. It just didn't matter. This is all that mattered right here. This battle for the center, this initial battle. And you'll see what we do here is we sort of arrive a little bit earlier, a couple steps earlier. We quickly take out three of their lead DPS guys, their first line DPS who come in, and that's pretty much it. After that, it is all over. They're never going to bounce back from this, and we are going to win in a convincing and crushing fashion. And that was pretty much what every single one of these games was about. So since this game is sort of in the books, and I'm telling you, we're gonna win, I want to use the rest of this time to talk about something a little bit different, something that's been on my mind in terms of my Pyromancer for quite some time, and that's the concept of, what am I doing wrong? I feel like I've been playing this spec for a while now, maybe 100 matches, I don't know, 200 matches, and I just don't feel like I can turn that final corner. You know, if I can use an overly dramatic analogy, I feel like I have the wheel jammed to the left. I feel like I've got the parking brake up, and I'm sending the tail out, trying to drift it into the corner, but I just can't do it. I can't turn that corner and reach the place where I feel that I need to be in order to be successful with this spec. And I don't know why that is. I mean, I understand that it's a mechanical problem. I have a bad spec. I have bad gear. I have a bad rotation. I don't use my offensive cooldowns. There's a mechanical reason for that. It's not the character. It's not the build. It's not the design of the class that's holding me back. It's some mechanical issue, and I can't manage to put my head around that. You know, essentially, if I break it down, I don't have the knowledge to understand what I'm doing wrong with my rotation or with my specking. I mean, my spec is cookie cutter. I copied it from somebody who had updated the Pyromancer Dom spec on Blue Dot for 1.7. You know, so unabashedly, I am a copycat. I went through the spec and I tried to understand it, but the gist of the spec, you know, I got from someone else. I didn't build it fresh. But I did meticulously go through the spec and try to understand each skill I was putting points into. So it wasn't a blind cookie cutter, but this isn't my creation. When it comes to gear, I don't have the time to get the gear. I have basically the first level tier of PvP gear, the one that you can purchase without having any previous piece of armor. So that's the tier I have. I think for me it's the Seer. So that's what I have. This is a limitation of my ability to play the game. I have a limited amount of playtime. This isn't something that I can effectively change. That same limitation on my time means that I can't put in the exhaustive research I might need. Oh, killing spree! I can't put in the research that I would need in order to better understand my spec. So it's a catch-22 almost. I mean, I can't understand my spec because I don't have time to understand my spec. I can't compensate for that by having better gear because I don't have time to have better gear. I'm at this weird place where I don't know how much more I can do with this particular spec. And I think I'm to a point where I have to consider looking at something else. And I don't know what that something else is. I don't know if that's going towards healing or what. What I would really like to know is if there is a spec out there in the Mage tree that is intuitive in its design. There's synergy in the Pyromancer spec. I understand the synergy that's there. The procs, the way they work, the way things stack, you know, that's all wonderful, and it works like conducting an opera, at times, at its best. But when I say a spec that has sort of an inherent order to it, or has an innate play style, just something that is obvious and intuitive, I'm thinking about the Bard. You see me get a little overzealous there. I remembered to actually use my offensive cooldown, and I was so happy that I went down the steps and got destroyed by like 10 guys. So what you're going to see here is, even though this appeared to be a pretty decent game, statistically it was horrible. And that was sort of what spawned this whole "what am I doing wrong" thought process, because I felt like I was doing a lot right in this match. But in the end, I end up putting out just a little bit more damage than the healers. It's pretty bad when you're being out DPS'd by healers. I see someone who has 146,000 healing, and he did more damage than me. That's depressing, and that's what sparked this line of thought. And as I was saying, when I talk about a class that has an intuitive playstyle, I'm talking about the Bard. All of those pieces fit together. That's why you see me play the Bard so often, why I love playing the Bard. The pieces of the Bard spec itself fit together so well. It's obvious that you should be cadencing most of the time, and then determining whether you want to send out an offensive finisher or a healing finisher. You should keep your motifs up. You should use your codas, these sorts of things. It all flows together, and it all works in a beautiful way. And it's simple. It's like, I would say, I used an orchestra reference earlier, so I would say that playing a Bard is like conducting a string quartet. There's just a few people there that you need to coordinate, and they're all really sort of playing the same song, the same style. They're all playing this stringed instrument. The Pyromancer feels like conducting an orchestra. I've got the string section, I've got the woodwinds, I've got the brass, I've got the percussion, and I've got to keep them all going all at once. And I don't think I'm capable, perhaps, of that juggling act. So I want to put it to you guys. What do you think I should do? Should I stick with this spec? If I do you see any inherent flaws in my playstyle that could be corrected? Do you want me to make a video where I'm more deliberate in talking about the rotation that I use? One thing that I do have to do is just more research. I have to make the time to find out if the rotation that I'm using and the spec that I'm using is still viable. If this isn't something that I just made up out of thin air as far as my rotation, and if this is the most effective way to play my class. That's something that I need to put in the time to learn. So should I stick with it? Should I do those things? Should I reach for the stars, so to speak? Or should I give up and look for something else? Should I try to dip my toe into the waters of healing? Or is there another spec out there that has that sort of Bard-esque inherent order? That's what I'm looking for, really. And that was a lot of the reason that I depended on that Necromancer for so long. I don't necessarily think the Necromancer spec has an intuitive playstyle per se, but I was so familiar with it that I had turned it into an intuitive playstyle because I knew what to do in almost any situation, and I understood it, and then I could improvise within that window. And I've never gotten to that place with the Pyro spec. So is there another spec out there that has that sort of order to it, that a Bard sort of has, just a few core abilities that you should be using to create havoc? That's what I want to do. I want to do what my class is designed to do. If I'm a healer, I want to be healing. If I'm playing DPS, I want to be doing DPS. Not doing that on my Pyro currently. So I feel like I am a weak link. Even though I'm a good team player and I'm holding on to relics and I'm capturing points, I'm not doing the rest of it. I'm the guy who's never going to be anything more than the utility player who does everything adequately but isn't a superstar. Maybe I don't want to be a superstar, but I want to be second tier. I want to be one tier down. I want to be something like that. So, give me suggestions. Help me out. I'm also going to be live streaming some Rift, and that's going to be a very open environment. The intention of my live stream is going to be to maintain constant interaction with the chat. And I don't expect more than a person or two to ever be in the chat, but I want it to be about interacting with the chat. If I can establish a good live stream and, start putting in that work, maybe the viewers will come, maybe they won't. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm not in this for the money. I'm not in this to become YouTube famous. I've made a little bit of money doing this, and that was nice, walking around money. Most of that got spent for my Rift subscription or for prizes that I've given out on my other channel. I just want to be here, and I want to be doing this. I want to be interacting with you guys. I want to be putting something out there. I do love Rift. I really, really like it. I think that they hit on a great formula. I like the lore. I like the gameplay. I like it all. I mean, I've been playing this game since like beta 3, and I continue to play it. Last February 2011, I had a major health issue, and one of the first things that I did when I got home was play Rift, because I missed the launch of Rift because I was in the hospital. And one of the first things I did was sit down and make a video and play Rift, and it felt like the place I wanted to be. And it still is, and I want to put it out there. I'm not always going to live stream Rift, but it is something that I'm going to live stream on occasion. So that's twitch.tv/BigDaveIsCheap. If you don't know, and you should know, Big Dave is Cheap is my variety YouTube channel where I play all sorts of games. And, that's another thing. I used to only be interested in MMOs. Now I'm interested in a whole lot more. So I do try to be true to both sides of myself. I could probably stop playing any other game but Rift and gain the knowledge that I need in order to be a better player. But that's not what I want to do. That's not what would make me happy. So thanks for watching this video, guys. This has been a stupid, crazy, rambly video. But I really have to say, at the end of that game that you just watched, after feeling like I did well, and being on a sort of a high, actually, and then looking at those statistics, I got discouraged, and I don't want to continue to be in that place. I would say that without a doubt, in terms of my individual performance, that was the best game that I played out of 10 games. But it was the worst that I did statistically. So I felt like I was doing a lot more. And when I found out that I wasn't, it was hard. It was hard to take, because I just sort of thought like, that was it. That was my all that I gave right there. And this is what I got at the end? Damn, damn. But I'm trying to overcome that. I want to be a more effective player. That's what this series has always been about. And I'm continuing to strive in that direction. And I do appreciate those of you who know a whole hell of a lot more about this game than I do, who come here and say, you're doing all right, or try this, or try that. So, blow up the comments with that sort of stuff, and I will love you long time. All right, guys, I have been Big Dave, and until next time, take it easy.